Hello YouTubers, it's Matt here, welcome back, and if it's your first time, you're very welcome to my channel on which I talk about consultancy growth through better positioning and differentiation, and also how to build a client acquisition engine. And all of that is going to feature in today's presentation that I'm giving. This is a bit of a longer than usual video because I've got a deck. I've gone and dived into PowerPoint and put together some fantastic tips on how to become a recession-resistant consultancy. Now, whether you buy into the doom and gloom, whether you think that there are some murky grey clouds on the horizon or not, this is all really good stuff. And it's a reminder, perhaps, from a couple of years ago when we all had to be a bit more resilient to what was going on in the world. And we've put together some ideas that I think are really practical. 3 key themes that I think you should be focused on as a consulting firm to make yourself more resistant to whatever challenges might be ahead at any time in the future. It's just good sense. Okay, let me jump into the presentation. So you won't get to see my face because there's just too much good stuff on screen. You are going to learn how to, in this presentation, create an unturndownable offer, build a predictable pipeline that sticks, and connect you with more great fit buyers without using increasingly popular, impersonal, and often automated mass outreach tactics. Just come back on screen for a second. Are you like me? Do you get all of those messages every day on LinkedIn from people who just want to connect for no real reason and who are quite happy to just sell you their stuff in the very first message? And then, well, if it's not actually in the first message, then it's in the subsequent message after they've connected. They've duped you into putting you in their first line. And it really grates on me. So I'm going to be talking about ways to get around that today. And here it is, how to be a recession-resistant consultancy, as I say. Right. No fluff, no kind of big intros or anything else. You know who I am if you're here. And if you don't, then you'll get to know. So part 1 is all about how to create that unturndownable offer. How can you position yourself with an offer that ticks all of the boxes in what I call the buyer brain? I'm going to go through those shortly, so that you leave no good reason for any of your prospects to say no to you. These are what I call the buyer brain check boxes. These are the things that your buyers have to see, hear, and feel before they will be convinced that you are the only viable option for them in whatever discipline your consultancy specializes in. So first off, that's for me. I have that challenge. This is the basis of attention. If your buyers don't feel very, very quickly from your content, be that your emails, your social updates, your direct messages, your advertising, that they have to pay attention to this message because it is for them, then you are missing the point and they are going to be scrolling straight past that content onto the next one and somebody else is going to win their business. Now, I see a lot of people, as I say, using those mass outreach tactics, messaging people, not giving them any reason to buy in, but also, crucially, using such generic language that it could be a blanket email to 1,000 people and it would still make sense. You have to give people the sense that they're the only one receiving this message. And again, not just emails, but wherever you meet with the prospect. The next one is, I'm not alone, it's not my fault. If your buyer feels that they are the problem, then they will never be able to buy into your solutions because guess what? You are not them. They're the ones that need fixing. And unless your consultancy specializes in psychotherapy or something along those lines, then there's not a good fit. Other options can't help me. We have to make the buyer feel that you are the only viable option. So part of our process is that we invalidate any other competing solution on the table, not through smear campaigns, but by giving logical reasons why it would be a bad idea to go down any other path but with you. I could end up making the situation worse. So do it yourself is a real viable alternative option to your buyers, but they're not the experts. They haven't spent the 10,000 hours crafting that expertise that you have. And so they could end up making the situation worse were they to dabble in your area of specialism and try to juggle that with everything else that they've got to do. If we can make the buyer feel that, then that puts you in a really strong position. I see exactly how this can help me. This is in relevance to your specific solution. They have to be able to see how you are going to deliver that transformation. What is the quantifiable or tangible result that they can expect from the process? And that leads us on to the next one. There's a proven system in use here. If you can show your unique mechanism for delivering transformation to your buyers, if I haven't spoken about that on this channel yet, then you'll certainly hear me talking about that. Then they're going to feel like a guinea pig. They're going to feel like it's just an intangible, which many consulting services are. So we've got to visualize what is the process, what are the steps we're going to take them through. They need to see the journey. They've solved this for others like me, or you've solved this for others like me. So they really have to see that social proof aspect, and any case studies and testimonials have got to fit with their profile. So, for example, if you were to show a case study from a fintech business to somebody who works in healthcare, they're not going to feel that there's a good fit with the results that you've generated. And if they can't kind of resonate with that, then they can't buy in. Same goes for the size of organisation. We've worked with clients who were looking to work in the SME market, and they're showing all the logos of the big household enterprise level organisations that they've worked with. And guess what? Their buyers are just going to think, okay, well, I don't fit in amongst that group. And these guys must be really expensive as well, making all of these preconceptions that prevent them from being able to really buy into your proposition. And then lastly, I'd be foolish to take any other course of action. That's what we're ultimately aiming for, is that your prospects feel stupid to turn you down at the end of this process. And that's the basis, again, of an unturndownable offer. So let's dive into these in a bit more detail. That's for me. I have that challenge. So reach out to your past and existing prospects, and I'm going to give you a script for this, to learn, what is the pulse? What is the pulse? What is the feeling out in the market relative to the challenges and the fears and the goals and ambitions of your ideal buyer? You can find out their biggest challenge or concern, which is a really great source for new content ideas, but ultimately will also enable you to position yourself against those challenges as the person who's going to solve them. And then put that challenge in all of your relevant marketing and sales assets for that prospect. So again, they get that feeling of, this is for me. This is a really simple, you don't have to use this verbatim. Obviously make this your own, use your own tone of voice and language. But essentially, you can position this as, I'm going to be creating a blog article or some content on the topic of your particular area of specialism or a particular challenge. And I hope you'd answer a very quick question for me. Could you please hit reply, tell me your biggest challenge or concern related to your area of specialism. And what you can do, this is the pro tip, is as a small thank you can offer to send them a voucher for a coffee. And we've done that. Just ask them, what's your favourite coffee kind of provider of choice? Go and find a site that's going to allow you to buy those vouchers and send them an electronic voucher that they can use in store. That has got us so many responses, but also you'll find that people will come back to you and say, look, I'm happy to share. There's no need to buy me a coffee. These are my thoughts. And that's a really, really great thing as well. So it doesn't cost you anything. Okay, so thanks in advance. I hope you're good. Keep it nice and simple. Don't use all of that, pithy language that goes around it. I hope you and your family are safe and all of that, because people see through it. They think it's disingenuous. Keep it nice and simple. And this is very different. This isn't you reaching out, promoting yourself, being salesy or anything. You are being inquisitive and polling the market. And in the first instance, I recommend this goes out to your existing clients and those that you've got some sort of relationship with anyway. So it should get a decent response rate. Next up, I'm not alone. It's not my fault. So as I say, if the prospect feels that it is their fault, that they are the problem in the whole mix, in the whole kind of, the solution path to their challenge, then they're not going to be able to buy into any solution provider, because they feel that, they can never be part of that. So empathize with them first off, recognize that they're feeling that way, reassure them that they're not alone, and perhaps cite other examples of where you've seen some of your previous clients, some of the prospects that you've been speaking with, and just reaffirm that actually there are plenty of people who are going through this particular situation and it's not their fault. Perhaps it's been, the problem has been misdiagnosed, or they've been sold a pup. There are lots of commentators out in the world who are taking some sort of narrative around problems in a multitude of different industries, and they are perpetuating myths. And that's what often people are really buying into. So if that's the case, really kind of take a stance against that, and that's going to, again, give you a position of strength. Next up, I could end up making the situation worse. This is about really invalidating that DIY option. Make it clear to them that they need professional help if they're to get the solution that they need, that's going to stick and that's going to give them sustainable growth past this particular issue. So what will personally happen to your prospect if they don't solve this challenge? Dig into what their fears are. Are they fearful that they're going to lose their job? They're going to lose the opportunity for promotion or recognition? Are they going to lose time and end up back at square one if they screw this up? Are they going to lose employees because they're not seen as that leader that can fix their problems themselves? There's a lot of head trash that will be going on. If you can address this and get them past it, then again, you're going to position yourself for strength. Next up, I see exactly how this can help me. So this is really about how you're presenting your solution and how you position yourselves. Be clear about your solution and how it helps the prospect with this specific challenge. But also, your buyers are going to want to know that in a short space of time, they're going to receive something of value. Your buyers probably already ask you, what is the deliverable? What is the quantifiable outcome of this process? And that's what I want you to focus on next, is determine, ideally within a 90-day time frame, because per our research, that's about as far forward as your prospects can really think before they're thinking this is a massive commitment. So maybe it's a milestone along the way. If you typically work with your clients for the long term, think about what is it you can put in their hands, either something tangible or a metric that you can move within those first 90 days that is going to convince your buyer that you are the person to deliver on your promises. And then, do you guarantee these results? We talk a lot about de-risking strategies. How can you remove the perception of risk by either guaranteeing what you do, by setting up performance-based deals or revenue share? Consider those as real options for removing risk from the buyer's mind. Next up, there's a proven system in use here. And as I say, I'll probably do some more videos on the unique mechanism. Share that with your buyers. What are the stages? What's the process that you follow? And what's the journey that they can expect to be led on by you? Give it an identity and a strong graphic. There are plenty of organizations out there with great examples of this. What is the visual? So show them the steps. Is it linear? Is it that you take them from point A to point B, past all the obstacles they would normally have to face? Or is it cyclical? Is it a repeat process that you keep coming back to refine and optimize the process? Perhaps it's like HubSpot's flywheel, for example, that you might be familiar with. Good example of a unique mechanism. And then physically walk your prospect through each step on the sales call. This unique mechanism, as it's framed, could be a great diagnostic. You learn about the challenges they're facing where they are now. You learn about that nirvana-like existence where they've solved this challenge in the future and they're experiencing all the benefits of that. And you also learn any obstacles that might stand in their way of doing it for themselves, or if they were to use an alternative supplier, and you navigate them around it. And that's what a unique mechanism does. And then they've solved this for others like me. Again, the social proof angle. So make sure that you litter your sales conversations with social proof, with testimonials, with real examples of clients that have been through it. And again, make sure that there is a match between the examples you're giving. Personalize it for the buyer in front of you. Make sure things like the industry, the size of business, the challenge and the solution provided are all relevant to the person in front of you. And use imagery where possible. It really reinforces the idea that you are being specific to their situation. So use examples. So for example, if it is a healthcare business you're in front of, use some of the appropriate logos and imagery that really cement that idea that it's for healthcare businesses. Anything you can do to improve conversion through relevance. And then lastly, I would be foolish to take any other course of action. Find out, be diagnostic in everything that you do. Find out what your prospect has done in the past to help solve their challenge, or not, as the case may be. Invalidate any and all of those competing solutions and list them all out. List all of the invalidation statements that you can possibly conjure for that particular option. Invalidate the DIY option, as I say, so make it clear to them that they could make it worse if they do it themselves. And then invalidate the idea of doing nothing. We are human beings, so we love the path of least resistance. And a lot of your buyers will tell you, actually, this isn't the right time, or I want to just kind of sit with this for a while. And they end up doing nothing. You could check in with them 6 months down the road and they still haven't solved this problem for themselves. So just invalidate that as an option by reinforcing that idea that if they don't move now, they're kicking the problem down the road and it's going to cost them more in the long term. Okay. on to step 2. I know I'm going at quite a pace, but I want to get the value all across. No fluff, just get straight into it. Next up is how to build that predictable pipeline. And we've got a lot of mechanisms for doing just that, about running your marketing by the numbers so that you can reverse engineer the goals that you're looking at. It starts with this concept of the 4 1s. I want to really simplify the process of marketing and new business for you, because I think a lot of people are spreading themselves thin with the amount of content that they're producing and the number of channels across which they're operating as well. So, are you doing the YouTube videos like this? Are you also doing blogging? Are you doing regular email communications? Are you also trying to master LinkedIn at the same time? You can be spread in a whole bunch of different ways. And I'm here to tell you, really master this one journey first off, of one solution. So we work from the bottom up, or the right to left typically. You're aiming for one solution. There'll be one conversion event typically that gets you there, whether that's signing off of a proposal, whether it's going through a trial after a demo, whether it is a sales meeting, at which point you sign on the dotted line. There's one conversion event that gets them into that solution. There's one lead magnet typically that they go through, whether that's a webinar, a landmark event that you have that you can invite people along to who fit the bill, and provide them with content that's relevant to the challenges you help to solve. And then one channel, just master one first. And I see so many people who go from one channel to the next, and because they didn't make it work. But more damning than that, they've come to the conclusion that the channel is broken. LinkedIn doesn't work for us, or YouTube ads don't work. And there is no one channel that doesn't work, by the way. Typically, if it doesn't work, you haven't explored the full extent of its features and functionality and how functionally to make it work for you, or perhaps your message and proposition wasn't presented in the right way. And again, you'll hear me talk a lot about positioning, differentiation, and the language that you use to entice new buyers, but first off, just to grab their attention in a very, very noisy space. So master one channel, lead them through one lead magnet, one conversion event to sell them that one solution. And next up is about taking a very methodical approach to tweaking out the frailties in your customer journey. And I call this the dam buster framework, hence the picture. Not that this dam has been bust, but here's the kind of concept that I'm looking to describe. So there's a sideways funnel. Can't talk about marketing without funnels, as you know. So we've got the visitors at the left side, at the front end, if you like, who then become contacts and leads in your system. That's the point at which perhaps they opt in, go onto your CRM and start to receive those nurturing communications from you. And then, of course, ideally, they book a meeting with you, and some of those meetings turn into sales. And where we've got those potential dams, those circles in between, those are the points at which those leads can get stuck. And that's why we call them a dam. Imagine that your lead flow is like a river going down the side of a mountain. And those pesky beavers have built some dams at various points along the way. Those are the conversion points between the stages of your client journey. And if those dams remain, they're going to stop the right volume and quality of leads from reaching the sales part of the journey. It's about identifying where those parts of the journey are, where the bottleneck is, where those dams exist. Because you might have a fantastic ability to get people from your social profiles, from your emails onto your website. But are your landing pages converting to the degree that they need to? And once you've got those leads in the database, is your nurturing doing enough to get them to the point at which they're happy to raise their hand and say, yep, let's have a meeting, let's have a conversation? And then at the meeting stage, are you maximizing the potential of your sales scripts? And are you maximizing the potential of your proposals to convert to get to the numbers you need them to? All of those points are potential dams for you to bust in the customer journey. This is all about designing your client acquisition engine. Okay, lastly, this is the last bit in making yourself a recession-resistant consultancy, easy for me to say, is to connect with more great fit buyers. Should go without saying. But as I say, there are plenty of people doing this wrong at the moment. I'm getting the messages on a daily basis, and I know that you are, not just in LinkedIn, but also cold email and what have you. But here's the thing, we just need to get into a cadence of activity and personalised as well. So nothing I'm going to suggest to you today involves any sort of automation or scalable kind of technology that's going to help you to reach thousands of people all at once. In my experience, a lot of you consultancies out there, you have quite a tight target addressable market. There's only really a small pool of really ideal fit prospects that you want to do business with. So why would you use any of those mass outreach kind of tactics and automation? There's really no need. So identify the prospects that are a great fit for you and just try and reach and connect with 10 of them perhaps via LinkedIn every day. But as I say, don't automate the process, go and do it personally and make it really, really bloody obvious that this message is for the person in front of you. Make reference to something that would only make sense to them. Make reference to a recent event. Maybe they did a charity run at the weekend. Maybe they've just moved into a new office. They've just started a new role, whatever it might be. If they get the sense that that message is for them and only them, it's a great start and you'll get into a dialogue as a result. So if you use Sales Navigator, great. You can use those filtered searches to reach the right people. Don't use an invite message, just send the request. That's something we've learned actually. Sometimes the personalized messages, right, for the connection request can make it look like you are trying to sell them. So here's where I say, either go full personalization, make it all about them and only them, or if that's not working for you, try just sending the standard LinkedIn email request. And here's why that works, or the connection request, I should say. Here's why that works. People are starting to think, well, if they are just sending the standard connection request, then they're not trying that hard. They're not trying to sell me anything. They just want to connect on LinkedIn. Things have gone full cycle, and believe me, the psychology around it has changed. A lot of people are getting better results just sending the standard connection request than they have with the personalized one. I know that's going to jar with a lot of people, fly in the face of convention and what you're hearing from other experts or gurus in the space, but the results are there and it's working. So try it for yourself. Either hyper personalize or go with the standard connection request. And then of course, just kind of go back and delete or remove any requests, rescind any requests to invite that are more than a week or two old. And that way, LinkedIn will allow you then to continue to send connection requests in that really, really targeted way. Okay, next up, spend 10 minutes engaging with those prospects as well. Again, Sales Navigator is great for this because you can build lead lists and filter the content that you're viewing to just your leads so that you can engage with their posts, like, comment, share. And if you're doing that every day with those prospects, you will be top of mind. There will be a spark of recognition when you do want to eventually message them and start a dialogue as well. And then after that, of course, you've got to get your name out there. So there are a handful of things that you can be doing to really kind of grow your profile so that when they check you out, there is actually something happening, that your thought leadership is out there, that your content is out there in a big way. So, and make this manageable. Do only what you feel you can and fits within your sensibilities and your capabilities as a team as well. But do host LinkedIn events, for example. Get your thought leadership and credibility out there in presentations. Use LinkedIn stories. Get comfortable behind the camera if you possibly can, because when you start with video, as I tend to, then the repurposing of the content becomes a lot easier. With one video, you can split out the audio perhaps to form a podcast episode or some audio snippets for you to share on social. You can transcribe the audio as well, so that could perhaps produce an ebook or a number of blog posts. And also you can, with tools like Descript, for example, you can highlight certain bits of text in the transcription of your video and output that as audiograms and other snippets that you can use on social media and share. So when you start with video, the repurposing of content becomes a lot easier. Post relevant content regularly and consistently, and don't get too attached to the engagement. Don't take a look at the number of thumbs you're getting, number of shares and the engagement. A lot of the people your message is landing with will never give you that feedback, but it is landing with them. Trust in the process. Take a look at your profile views as opposed to the engagement, and you will see how many people you're reaching and how many people are checking you out. And that's a far more important metric than any of the standard engagement on your posts. Okay, so let me wrap things up by providing you with the key takeaways from this presentation. So first off, speak to the buyer brain. Check all of the boxes in every asset that you produce so that you are really cementing yourself as the only option and presenting an unturned downable offer. Master the 4 wands one at a time and get it working for you so that you really do nail, especially that channel stuff. So you don't do that channel hopping that many do when they feel that a channel's not working for them. 99 times out of 100, it's not the channel, it's the proposition, it's the language, it's the message. And then lastly, videos convert. So put yourself out there, make sure that you are hitting that cadence of connecting with prospects on a regular basis, engaging with them so that you're on their radar, and just bringing the warmth levels up so that when you do message them, that yours is a well-received message and you're more likely to get into a dialogue that way. Okay, I'm going to put just one little tiny easy call to action on this as well. If you feel that your messaging, your positioning needs a bit of a boost and you're not putting your best foot forward when it comes to reaching out to prospects and connecting with those that would be great buyers for your consulting firm, then either scan that QR code or message me privately and I will be right in touch to schedule a positioning powwow with you. It's only 15 minutes, and what we'll do is we'll send you a link to our examination. See what I did there? To score yourself on your positioning and points of differentiation so we can identify any potential opportunities, any wins, any quick wins that we can put in place to make you a much, much more attractive proposition to your exact great fit buyers. Thank you for sticking with me for this long. I will see you on a video real soon. If you're not already, then please subscribe and do all that engagement stuff. I don't need it, but I do like it. All right, see you soon. Bye for now.